This is, I mean, you're just out of surgery.
I just don't
Doctor said no restrictions. Get back on the saddle, man.
It's just, can you hold the bike?
Yeah, I got
Because
it.
if I go down, we are not saving.
All this for the intro.
Oh!
Right.
No, we're doing the whole video up here.
The whole video just talking like we're having coffee.
Looks like Sawyer's taking the MT.
I'm on
Oh yeah. I always take
I don't
the
trust
MT.
being on a Harbor Freight table standing on top of the bike. This is.
So
feels
which would you
sketchy.
take if you were gonna go stunt riding?
Alright, let's say hello, sir. People need to know who we are.
They have the intro of us doing the wheelies, I thought.
Yeah, the intro. Alright guys, what's going on? It's Shan the Man here, back with my identical twin brother Sawyer.
What up?
And today we're going to be answering a question that we get slammed in our DMs constantly when people, they're bike shopping. They go, should I get an R7, this bad mamma jamma right there, or should I get the MT07? So that is Yamaha's flagship motorcycles right now as far as stunt riding is concerned. Both bikes are going to make absolutely sick choices. However, there are a lot of key differences and we are going to go over them here in this video. Let's roll. Honestly, Grandpa, do you need help getting down?
No, I just don't want to hurt my shoulder. Anywho, alright guys, so I personally like the MT07, but there's a lot of differences and also similarities. So first one we're going to look at here is the back seat and what we like to call the subframe. So the MT07 rides more like a dirt bike. You hop over here to the old R7, it's much more of a sport bike feeling. Reason being, this was supposed to replace the Yamaha R6, which was their flagship sport bike model. So this puts you in a much more upright position, and you'll notice that if you go to the dealership or even one of the shows, do one of the Yamaha demo trucks, you ride these bikes back to back, you'll notice right away the R7, you're sitting much more upright, kind of more on your wrist. With the MT, you're kind of more like a dirt bike. So it's kind of a personal preference. I personally like the MT07 coming from a motocross background. However, if you grew up riding sport bikes or just, you know, want to be in that, you know, true riding position, the R7 is going to be the winner.
Moving upwards, the R7 gas tank is definitely a lot smaller. So this you're going to notice is a little bit smaller lip, whereas this thing, we got a nice big pad here. So
which would you say is easier for doing like gas tank tricks?
Honestly, they're both pretty locked in. Joey makes us some good tanks here. This is a pretty wide R7 tank, but you do need to make it wide. You're gonna have to send it out. You're not gonna be able to really dent this tank or do anything with it. Where the MT, Bill Dixon does do a hammer dent, so you can definitely get away with a little bit less work on the MT07 tank. But
this is a custom tank though, isn't it?
that is also, yeah, Joey builds them both. But yeah, you'll see people rocking high chairs on these things. I mean, this, in my opinion, a high chair on a full fairing sport bike is gonna look way sicker though than on this. But that's, you know, that's where a lot of this comes down to, is the R7, in my opinion, is gonna look a lot prettier. I mean, if you just look, we got all this nice fairings. We got, it looks like a beautiful sport bike, where this represents more of your naked motorcycle, which for
is
me,
easier to work
in the
on.
lot, riding, doing wheelies, I love the naked bikes. This thing, I mean, literally, look at, you can get, you can get in there, we'll wrench it on everything. Going over to this thing,
It doesn't look that easy.
I can't even tighten my clutch cable really, even on this side, without having to like literally go to even tighten the clutch cable. You've got to finagle your hands in past the fairing.
If you wanted to change your radiator, you'd have to take the whole cage off.
Yeah, you'd have to drop the cage, drop the fairings, like he said, if you had to crack radiator. Where this thing, like, look at clutch cable, boom, easy access. So the MT07 is gonna win a point there for sure. If you're a guy that's learning and you're crashing your bike a lot, I would never recommend a full fairing sport bike, because this thing is gonna take the abuse. You're gonna be able to slam this thing down, and if you do break stuff, it falls off, you're gonna be able to easily fix it, get your hands in there, get your tools in there. Versus this thing this looks fragile. It looks sick, but I don't know if I'd be want to slamming this thing down learning all the
I
time.
already know how to wheelie and I'm gonna use it to like commute though.
If you're gonna be ripping on the streets, I kind of like the windshield. I like the fairing on the street. You're gonna definitely get that wind blockage. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm stunt riding, but I also, like you said, you're riding your bike to work still, or you just like ripping the streets, I do see more of the street riders leaning towards the R7, where more as the stunt riding specific lot community likes to lean a lot more towards the MT07.
R7 May not drift as good in the lot, but it definitely turns better. Our buddy Ethan was explaining to us, telling us too about the steering angle is different. Kind of like I said.
You're saying this turns better?
No, it turns better on the road, not in the lot.
Oh yeah, it's
So
all
on
right.
the
Fast
road,
corners, it does.
Fast corners, it wants to feel more like a sport bike, kind of tipping in, versus this one you really have to like kind of muscle it around, versus when you're drifting this one though, you do run out of steering angle quick. It's got much bigger forks.
Yeah, these are 47 or 50 millimeters versus these are 43. So you guys can see, if you guys know anything about drifting, drift car people, you max out the angle, that's gonna keep you from catching that high side. So this thing, every time I get on these in the show, I always gotta remind myself, I remind myself in a hurry, because I find the steering lock pretty quick on these, and you'll notice actually, you see all those grinder marks in there, we'll actually cut those down as much as we can so that the steering, get every little millimeter we can out of it on this side too. Grind those off to where the handlebar basically is touching as close as it can, but it's still not nearly as much angle as the MT07 has. So for me personally, if you build the internals, this is gonna come out of the box from the factory better. If you're a guy who just wants to grab this bike, get it, go rip it, spin no wrenches, do no work, this is gonna feel a lot better out of the factory. However, quick couple mods that we saw on the website, springs, fork emulators, new oil, you can have this thing rolling nice, feeling really good. Good old Uncle Bill, I think he, back when he was riding this thing last year, he was rolling like 350, 450 feet on an MT07 from the 350 foot approach. So it absolutely can be done. You just got to put a little bit of work into the front end, which it's, when I say a little bit of work, those couple parts, you're still going to be like less than $300 into all that, when this motorcycle on average is going to run you probably $2,500 to $4,000 more than an MT07 just off the base price, because these do hold their value more. They're newer and they just seem to hold their value a lot more. You can get an MT FZ07 used anywhere from like $4 grand to $7 grand, depending on how nice of a model you're gonna get, whereas these are sticking right around 65 to 75, like stock or setup. They're really not dropping their value too much.
Which bike is cheaper to set up if it was bone stock?
So that's right, the bone stock. So all the parts are basically gonna be
it has more parts up here involved.
That's, yeah, a little bit more. You got the triple clamp if you wanted to go that route and go if you wanted to go dirt bike bars, but if you were to keep it with stock clip-ons, all your stunt parts are going to basically be the same. Your bracket, all of that is the exact same, but this bike is going to cost more as a base model. So the R7 is definitely going to be a little bit more expensive too. So if you're a guy that's balling on a budget and you want to get all the best parts you can get, definitely start with an MT FZ platform, because you're going to give yourself a little bit of coin in your bank to allow yourself to get all those fancy parts and not have to skimp out on anything and wait, you know, for all that. What else do they got on these Bad Mama Jammas? Both rocking same Hindle exhaust. Sawyer crunched this one at the last show. This thing took a beating. So look at, so if I was to do that, what I hit you on that in that wheelie, that would have been a lot more expensive. We would have taken this out. We would have probably done the same cage damage. We would have definitely we would have done some fairing damage for sure. But
one thing to also notice, guys, too, they are the same genuine new, or not new, I'm sorry, flagship Yamaha CP2 engine. So they are going to wheelie very similar torque. They do have different computers, it's a little bit different throttle response and tuning, but other than that, they are going to feel very similar. So that's one big thing to note. If you find a good deal on one or the other, pick whichever one you got the best bang for your buck on.
The R7 comes with a slipper clutch, which is a little, you know, kind of like a racer thing. Some people notice it, some people don't mind, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's basically, like you said, whatever you guys can get a better deal on, and just kind of ask yourself, what kind of riding are you going to be doing? Are you going to be commuting this thing to work? You're going to be ripping it around with your girlfriend? You want to look like the coolest guy when you pull up to the bike night? Go with the R7 for sure. But if you want function, you're just riding, you're trying to progress your riding, your tricks, everything the fastest and the best, I would definitely recommend the MT07, as it's going to be easier to work on, And that's the name of the game here. When you start stunt riding, you'll start finding out that you're gonna be breaking stuff, and the less time you're spending in the garage working on the bike, the more time you're in the lot riding, getting better. So go with the MT07 if you're trying to progress your riding as fast as you can. If you're trying to be cool guy, or if you already know how to ride and you just want something that's super clean that you just can be proud of and you just love the look of full fairing sport bikes, go with the R7. It is an absolute wheelie machine. Sick.
Right.